afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. So today, doing something slightly different. We're not on our wanders. We're at home, and this afternoon, going to be doing a little job on our motorhome, and we're going to be replacing the Calor gas bottle, one of the Calor gas bottles, for a Gaslow system.
Before I get into the fitting, I will just explain why I decided to do this upgrade. We're planning to do more European trips in the future, and these trips will be a minimum of a month. And one of the things that we've been looking at is our gas setup. As many of you will know, Calor gas refills aren't available in Europe. Our current system, one 6 kilogram and one 13 kilogram Calor bottle, has served us well since we started motorhoming, but it's not ideal for travelling for extended periods abroad. We've looked at refillable options in the past, but never quite got around to it. This time, with more travel planned, we decided to make the switch. We've chosen to replace the 13 kilogram Calor with an 11 kilogram Gaslow refillable bottle, while keeping the 6 kilogram Calor as a backup. To make things easier, I've connected the 6 kilogram bottle to the original regulator, allowing us to swap between bottles when needed. We've also added an external filling point for convenience. This video shows the process I followed to install the Gaslow system in our motorhome. It's not a definitive how-to guide, just my approach to getting the setup we wanted. And of course the system will be checked over by a qualified gas-safe engineer before we use it.
So let me just show you, first of all, what we've currently got. So yeah, hopefully the camera's picking this up. So we've currently got a couple of Calor bottles. We've got a 6 kilo and 11, I think it is. I'll double check that. What we're going to do is we're going to remove the 11 and we're going to replace that with a gas refillable one, and that'll have an external filler point which will mount about there on the door. So it does involve drilling a hole through the door, which we'll get onto, which is always fun. But the first thing we need to do is we just need to remove the gas bottles. We'll make sure the gas is turned off. It is, because I always turn it off when we come back from a trip. So we're starting off with a Gaslow bottle. And then from a fitting point of view, we've got the external filler point in white, to match the colour of the motorhome. Yeah, along with the filler pipe, which will go from the filler across to the bottle. We've also got a regulator hose. Now this one will go from the bottle and across to the regulator. I've also got this 90-degree connector as well, or adapter. Gaslow recommend that if you're putting an external filler on, that rather than the pipe coming directly out the back of the filler, you're best putting a 90-degree elbow on, which then allows you just to angle the pipe up a bit, and it in effect stops the pipe kinking when potentially you close the door. Show you more when we get that fitted. Now for our setup, we have this T-piece adapter. So what this allows us to do is connect the Gaslow system and also the current Calor bottle. So the end, as you're viewing this on the left, will connect onto a regulator, and then the connection on the right and the one pointing upwards is where we'll connect the filler pipes, or the pipes coming from each of the bottles, and then that will connect onto the regulator. I also, when I bought the kit, I also bought the adapters from the European perspective, just in case we need them at any point. I thought might as well get them now, and then we've got them. So in terms of fitting, we'll need to put a hole in the door. So we need a 70mm hole cutter, which we've got there, a drill, a couple of spanners and adjustable wrench, I've also got some leak detector. Now, just on the point leak detector, what I would say is that you don't need to be gas qualified to work on the system, but I will be getting it checked by a qualified gas safe engineer. And prior to that, I'll use a leak detector as well. Many years back, I worked at a caravan dealers for about 1.5 years, and I used to fit gas appliances, so I do know and feel confident in doing the bits and pieces myself. But as I say, I'll use some leak detector, and I will get it checked out by a gas safe engineer. And then I've also got some Sikaflex there just for sealing around the filler pipe. So with that done, what I'll go and do now is we'll go and remove the gas bottles. I'm not sure how much of this you'll be able to see because it is quite a confined area. What I'll do is I'll just pop you down there while we release. So we'll just start by releasing this key. Now it's fair to say these collars, these safety collars that go around these bottles are a bit fiddly. Yeah, that's one done. And this bottle is empty, so that gives us a bit more room. So the next thing to do is just to make sure that this bottle is turned off, which it is. And what I'll do is I'll disconnect it from the regulator there, and then we'll take this bottle out as well. So I'll need to take this connection off. So I'll need to remove this connection here as well, so I can get the collar off that holds the bottle in place. So we'll do that next. So that's a 6 kilo which will be going back in. So what I'll do next is I'll release the regulator pipe from that junction there. And what we'll need to make sure is that we just support the Truma regulator. You know, as you can see, it is well mounted onto the back of the gas locker. But what we'll do is we'll just support it. Now this one should be a normal right hand thread. Okay, so hopefully you can see that's that coming off. Wasn't too tight, which this shouldn't be. Don't need to over tighten these things. And as you can see, there's a seal in there. So here's the T-piece that we're going to fit. The left-hand side goes onto the regulator, and what I'm going to do before I actually put it on is I'm just going to loosely attach the regulator to the Calor bar, or the. So what I'm going to do is attach the pigtail onto the right-hand side. Before I put this T-piece onto the regulator, I'm going to attach the original pigtail onto here, and I'll also attach the new hose. It's just a case of deciding which way is better. I think what we'll do is we'll connect this one onto the right hand side as such, because that then follows the curve of what this pigtail was doing to start with. So that will go onto there. Just make sure that the sealing washer's in place, which it is. Again, I won't tighten it up. I'm just sort of nipping it up to the point that I've still got movement in there. As well as the hose, we've also got two washers. Okay, so I've just made sure that we've got the washer seated in there. And now I'll loosely connect that one onto there. So there we go. what we'll do now is we'll go and connect this. So it's fitted on there. We'll now just make sure that we can connect onto there, making sure it's square and it feeds on nicely, which it does. So there we go. So the next step now is for me to put the 6K bottle back in so I can connect the bayonet up to the bottle, which will then allow me just to see what the flow of the pipe is like. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. I've put the 6K back in. I've not put the restraining strap on it yet because I just wanted to get the positioning. So I think that probably works the better. That one's fine. There's no real strain on there, and it's better going up that way. The other alternative would be to angle that back and take it round the back, but I don't like that. Or to bring it straight out in this direction, but again I don't like the idea of it going over there. And that will give it plenty to go around to the gas bottle without straining. So what I'll just do is I'll nip those connections up and then I'll reinstall I'll put the strap on the 6K and we'll bring you back then. Okay, so that's that in. So pigtail back on, the buttons at the bottom, purely because if I want to swap it round I need to release this junction here, and since it's not leaking or anything it seems pointless. So, and in fairness that's actually better than what it was before, so so that's okay. These three are all tightened up. Quite happy with that because it's not on a sharp end or anything. You know, it's not going to kink or pinch. So yeah, all good so far. So the next job is to put the bottle in. So we've now got the Gaslow bottle fitted. So yeah, pipe coming off there, going around to the regulator via that T connection there, which connects in the Calor 6K. So the last thing I've got to do now is just to fit the drill hole in the door. So what I've done now is I've fitted the fillet pipe just there, not tightened it up or anything, just to sort of get an idea of the run. So what I'm doing is I'm taking it up around the back, and then that will come through. So taking that round so it goes round, and then on the door I've gone for the centre of the door. I've come down about 30mm from that bit of trim there, and then 35 down, which is my centre. So what I'll now do is I'll drill a little pilot hole through from this side outwards. So I'll do that next. Okay, so I've drilled through from the back, and that's given me the pilot hole there. So I know that I've got plenty of space there. If I go inside the locker, I know I'm high enough to miss the bottles. So the next job is to drill the 70mm hole there. So I might just put a bit of masking tape on, just give me a bit of something to work to. There we go. So we now have one 70mm hole in the gas locker door. I'll just get a bit of a brush. Can't believe I cleaned down here yesterday, which is covered in polystyrene. Okay, if we look at the housing, you'll see that there's these little notches. So there's one at the top or the bottom, but there's one opposite anyhow, so you've got one each side. What I've then done is I've filed in a corresponding notch, top and bottom. So what that allows this to go in, and it just locks it, so it gives it a bit of a lock as opposed to spinning. Okay, so we'll have a bit of a dust down now, and then we'll get that fitted. Okay, so the next job is to start assembling the filler. So we've got the lugs. So what we need to do is make sure that we keep those in the 12 and 6 o'clock orientation, and then we take the actual filler points, and you've got these little nuts and bolts, so they're probably easy to drop them in. Now what you need to do is you need to keep those lugs at 90 degrees. So you've got your lugs on your filler housing at 12 and 6, and then you've got your lugs on your actual filler points at 3 and 9. So with those in, we then have the back plate, and I just need a Phillips screwdriver. So I've got a Phillips screwdriver, and then they just tighten up into the back plate. So what we'll do is we'll just get them all started. So they're all in. And then once you're happy, you can just nip them up. And there we go. So lugs, just double checking, 12 and 6 and 3 and 9. So the next job for me is to connect this on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it on loosely, because I just want to make sure that I can still get, yeah. So you've got a cutout there, so you can feed it and get it all through. So what I'll do is, this wants to now be orientated, so this elbow wants to be orientated as per instructions, so it's sort of at a between 1 and 2 o'clock position. So what I can do now is I can just get a pair of mole grips, just to hold that like so, and then I just need to nip that up, so I'll just get a spanner. So I'm back. So again, just making sure we've still got that at 2 o'clock, or between 1 and 2. We can just nip that. Take it back out, and we'll just make sure we can get this edited. That's what we've got. And then this housing locates over, and then I don't know what you'll be able to see that, but you can align the screws and we'll screw that in, but we'll put some silicone around there first. Okay, so we're nearly there. So you can see that I've put the filler cap in, silicone around underneath, so once it's tightened up we'll clean that up. We go inside. You can see they give you 2 different lengths of screws depending on how thick your mounting panel is, so I've used the longer ones. The only one that's going to be a bit awkward is the one that fits behind here, so it may be that I end up either, I don't really want to loosen this off because it'd be difficult to get back into, so it may be that I'll leave that one out, but we'll see how we go. So I'll just tighten those up and bring you back. I managed to get that one, I just managed to get it over the top by leaving the plastic on to protect the thread. So look at the front, plenty of silicone oozing out. The horizontal for the 2 filler lugs. So yeah, just the hose to connect up now. So I'll do that next and bring you back. There we have it. What I've done is I've just routed the hose up around there, so you can see that when this shuts, so it feeds down there, so there's no real force or working on it or the door. So I just need to clean up round there. I'll then turn the gas on and I'll check what connections I can with some leak detectors to start with. This bottle I can't do till we've filled it up. So there we go, all installed. Just leak tested with some spray for the union up there, and from the gas bottle here. Obviously I can't do any of these until we get some gas in the bottle.
So there we have it, my experience of fixing the Gaslow system to our motorhome. It took me about 2.5 hours, and it was a fairly straightforward job with a bit of planning. Most nerve-wracking bit really was the drilling of the hole in the side of Annie, but that went without a hitch. We headed to our local service station that supplies LPG, but I didn't film this part, mainly because when we arrived, a member of staff told us the nozzle on the pump had a faulty locking mechanism, and he kindly offered to do this for us instead. After a couple of attempts, he managed to get the nozzle connected properly and as requested, filled the system with 16 litres of gas. And since filming this installation, we have topped the system up in France, and I have to say we found it very easy indeed. If you're thinking about switching to a refillable system, I hope this has given you an idea of what's involved. Thanks for watching, and if you found this helpful, don't forget, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more Motorhome content.